That's a double shot of espresso, by the way, over ice if anybody wants a peep game. But okay, just to get straight to the point, this is my first YouTube video, so if I could be honest, I do want to make the confession that I've recorded this about 3 times now, so all of it kind of getting used to hearing how my voice sounds like on camera and stuff just all got in my head. This is my 3rd time recording the video. This time I wrote everything on paper so that way I don't ramble or get sidetracked. But to start off, I want to talk a little bit about myself. My name is Brian. I'm the owner of Blue Denim Design and Demolition. Most of my background is in music and sales. So kind of interesting because my experience in regards of construction comes solely from my stepdad. Throughout high school, I would go and work with him. My stepdad has a excavation business, and he's meeting him a little bit later in my life was actually very beneficial to myself because I never really had a role model like that. So big props to my stepdad, and thank you if you're watching this for inspiring me. My stepdad has a 3rd grade education and now runs a pretty successful excavation business in Southern California. So that goes to show you that anything's possible. Back to the point though, most of my background is not in actual construction. However, I believe that you can take away from anything to apply into anything that you're currently doing. So that just goes to stand for itself. This video I'm going to be talking about what I learned during my time at the #1 Ford store in the world as a car salesman. I started off in not actually Ford, but this company is like a pretty big family-owned dealership. There's multiple brands, so you can kind of go amongst the different brands based on how you perform and stuff. I actually started off getting hired at a Volkswagen dealership out of desperation for being able to pay my bills. But thank God that I came across that opportunity. My sales career probably lasted about a year a little bit under a year at Volkswagen. I think I got an opportunity to move to the larger Ford store, which is kind of the home base of the company. Anybody who knows anything about cars right now, Volkswagen is, at least to myself, I told myself while I was standing there on point that if I learned how to sell a Volkswagen, I could sell anything, because they're amazing cars, but they're not really the most competitive, if you get what I mean. There's huge brands like Honda and stuff that are were extremely hard to compete with as a Volkswagen salesman. But thank God that I got hired at Volkswagen because I learned how to sell a Volkswagen. But I quickly climbed through the ranks of sales over there, and I performed pretty well. I moved into the internet department off of floor, and then went back to floor because it's not really my thing, being in like a cubicle and stuff. That store is a pretty low volume store, so opportunities are very, very, very like fought for. And what I mean by that is there's not too many customers coming in, so every customer coming in is something that is pretty valued at that dealership. So that goes to show you that working at the Volkswagen wasn't really going into an abundant mindset, you know what I'm saying, in regards of like, hey, like there's so much money being made here. However, what I will say is that there was a lot of money to be made. After Volkswagen, I moved over to the pre-owned department, and the pre-owned department is like the wild, wild west. I think if you learn how to sell used cars, or you have that ability to sell anything you get your hands onto, because when you're working at a certain brand, you sell only that brand, you study those models, you know how it compares with everything else. But when you go into pre-owned, I mean, you come across a 2012 like Ford Fusion, or sorry, 2017 Ford Fusion, or you know what I'm saying, like you just kind of come off of anything off the cuff. You do your research and whatnot, but I mean, the ability to sell a car that you haven't really touched or researched that many times, and every used car is unique, is super, super, super like strong. Looking back at it, some of the best memories and some of the most satisfying closes I've ever made were at the used car department. I don't know what about it was just so freeing, at least for somebody like myself. Some of the skills you need to have as a car salesman are being able to talk to anybody about anything. I would say that you have to have a lot of substance, and regardless of whatever age you come across, I've come across people who are really young and have a lot of substance and, have hobbies and can talk to people. And then I've came across really older people who are kind of bland and, super numbers oriented and kind of lose customers because of their demeanor and maybe their experience works against them. I got moved to pre-owned Ford, and then I got the opportunity to work at the big boy Ford store, which is the #1 Ford store in the world, right? The lifestyle and culture of a salesman, man, you lose a lot of sleep, and the kind of thought of a deal being made, or if you're somebody like myself, kind of consumes you, because I think if I really like something, I kind of treat it as like a challenge for myself, and being able to secure a sale and going through the process with somebody, if it lasts multiple days sometimes, which a lot of times it does, is probably one of the most exciting and satisfying things I've done. Man, sales was tough. Like, you spend so many hours. There was points where I'd spend over like about 60 hours a week, man, like trying to secure deals and, just ambitiously on the point and just trying to get another opportunity, coming across another customer, following up with customers, to try and make, your month a successful month. And in regards to being successful, money-wise, sales is extremely lucrative. And I made a really good amount. I made probably the most I've made in a year working my sales job, my first year of sales, at Volkswagen, at pre-owned. It's extremely lucrative, is that what I'm trying to say. However, that didn't come without having an attitude to learn, and to touch upon the culture part of it. A lot of the times your biggest adversary, it could be yourself, it could be somebody on your team. It's not the customer. The customer is there to buy, and I'm getting super salesy right now, but recognize this is not a sales video. The best salesmen are people that you don't mind having around you. And I remember I had this one customer that was like filthy loaded, man. And he just put it to me very straight. He just said that he wanted to talk to somebody that didn't make him want to feel like he needed to take a shower after. And I always kind of thought about that, like, damn, that's such a real feeling, because sometimes you just feel like just get me away from this guy, I think the most important skill I've learned is probably following up with people. I've always been a pretty social person. Sometimes, I kind of do reclude, but some of the most successful people that I've came across have always just been on the phone, just always talking to people. And I want to bring up an old coach that I used to have, Clemente Medina. I grew up boxing and stuff, but this guy, Clemente, man, like, I remember always hearing him on the phone. He's an older guy, he's a coach based out of Santa Ana, but this guy just was always on the phone talking to everybody. And Clemente was such a loved and adored, is such a loved and adored person in the community. And that's something that I always kind of residually saw. Sometimes I was just warming up and stuff, but this guy was just always on his phone. Being able to just talk to people genuinely teaches you a lot about what's going on with them, where their priorities lie, and genuinely kind of gives you a perspective on yourself as well, and where you are. So any interaction with a person is something that I've always appreciated. The ability to sell, the art of the sale, man, the art of the sale. And in my short 2.5 year sales career, I'm nowhere close to understanding this. But was I decently good? Was I, consistently on the boards? Was I maybe being hated on? I don't know. Yeah, I was. A lot of it is not really technical. It's not really super, objection and response based. And I feel like if that's what you're watching this for, you turn this off right away, because you come across some real goofballs that think that, a objection from a customer, so as simple as, hey, I just want to think or talk about it with my wife or da da da, is boom, like you just snap back and you turn it against them, and you just have the right words to say to just get you closer to that sale. That's not how it works. Does knowing certain responses and kind of understanding how trends have gone in the past help you? Yes. But if you're gonna be a goofball and just, at least in the time that I've been in sales, has been a recent spike of sales content. And if you unfortunately are very influenced and think that things like that work, and I'm gonna be the one to tell you that it doesn't. And I think everybody can agree with me that things are very personalized, and time spent listening to somebody is more valuable. So the art of the sale is genuinely such a mysterious thing, because it all touches back upon what I meant in regards to having substance. You need to be somebody that is able to talk to anybody about anything to be able to be a good salesman. There's certain things that you got to understand about people and how they move and the rhythm and the cadence of their life that I think allows you to understand how to sell. So in my opinion, the art of the sale is really the art of life. If anybody wants to write in the comment section anything, any feedback, or any experiences, please do so. But just to move on, I touched upon the fact that it's a people's business. There's a lot of goofballs in sales, especially when, my experience when I went to the big boy store was when kind of those opportunities were really abundant. And me coming from a Volkswagen background was just like, damn, look at all this stuff. Look at all these people coming in just wanting to buy trucks. I was struggling to convince somebody to buy a Jetta. The power of value is crazy, and you don't really understand it until you kind of recognize, until you have it lost towards you, what value is, whether that comes in value and trust, whether that value comes in, trusting a brand, trusting a person, trusting experience, or value money-wise. There's so many things that value kind of touches upon. Value is a big shapeshifter, and once you kind of understand where value lies, that's something that I think can help out anybody. I think what not to do in regards of being a person, and I'm gonna start tying into why I wanted to leave sales, is because I recognized that while I was making a lot, I didn't make from what I made. And you work really hard to close deals, and that kind of is what sales becomes about. But what it kind of turns into, unfortunately, is you become a producing machine, where you become a producer. And now, instead of the environment being, let me teach you, let's learn about the art of the sale, the environment starts to become, now you're not producing enough, right? And that's where I felt like sales turned me off, because at the end of the day, I go into anything and I want to take something away from it. I've always wanted to own a business, and I wanted to make sure that I took a long time to think about what I would enjoy doing, and this is what I am enjoying doing. So, that kind of provided me the answer and gave me the safety, and giving me the confidence to make the decision to leave and walk away from sales. But what you don't want to do is just be numbers oriented, be prideful, think that you're the best salesman, assess your value with how much you make. Those are things that just kill a person. And in a dealership, anybody who's watched this and has worked there, you realize that, man, certain people need to be here because they need to, right? Obligations, family, kids. But me, understanding that I come in with an attitude to learn, and because I've always known what my end goal is, don't forget that. And if you're somebody who's similar to me, then you recognize that your time and everything like that is the most valuable thing that you have. You don't want to get lost and forget why you're doing what you're doing, and maybe you don't want to not capitalize off of what you're doing. And thankfully enough, I saved up some money to with the help of a lot of people who I love and care about, was able to get my truck and my trailer and you know, my starter kit to kind of go into this field and use the experience that I've had previously to serve people in my community now. But yeah, I'm gonna be applying everything I learned in sales to what I do, because a really good person that you come across, if you look at it through the lens of a salesman, might actually be a really good salesman as well. And what I mean by that is certain values are shared amongst people in general, and those values could be values that you learn in sales. So this video was my attempt at making the quickest you know, reflection of what my experience was like working at the #1 Ford store in the world. If you don't know, it's Galpin Ford. No free promo or anything like that, but genuinely my experience holistically was amazing. I met my partner as well, which I'm really happy about over there. And yeah, I just wanted to touch upon my experience and lay a foundation for what's to come. This is gonna be a channel, and it's not really gonna be a conventional construction channel, but it follows me, and whatever it turns into will be, you know, something that I hope does good for the world and makes me happy. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch this. I hope this is the final version, but thank you. And if you guys have any questions, or if you want to reach out or anything, please reach out. I do have a lot more to say and offer. I'm just genuinely cutting myself off because I know that I ramble. But you know, leave comments in the comment section. I'm a huge YouTube watcher, so please, you know, keep it constructive, or, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but, you know, I'm here for you guys, and I'm here for myself as well. So yeah, this is my attempt, or not my attempt, but I'm doing what I want to do right now. So thank you guys, and just please remember to make from what you made.